Yeah, it's 7:11 a.m. February 20th, 2019. Yeah, what I'm doing there with my hand is looking at the exact time and date on the phone that I'm on. Um, just woke up. I know I walked upstairs. It said 7:09 on the DVR. It's probably about 7:10 because the DVR lags time 5 minutes prior max. About 7:05, I wake up from homosexual nightmares. I'm not homosexual myself, but the influence of that and basically being raped in my sleep. That being said, hypnotic suggestions being produced by the neighbors. Pretty damn sure of it. Um, I also have a book here. Not that I've been completely reading, haven't had the chance to. Sort of afraid to. Everything that I read, they intellectually challenge me on. If I pick something up, you're a retard. I gotta check that out. See if it's okay for you to read. Janara Torres, Thomas Stuckman, Ella Purdue, Carl Newman, the four main perpetrators that live right around me. All have been seen in other states, stalking. All the rest, as far as my say so. There has been other connections that's also lived around here that I can't go back and verify because I was put in a victim system in New York system and in New York City system, which gives a number. You can't go back into it and say, this is my name, this is what happened. I mean, they can get a deep warrant if they wanted to, per se, or something like that. It'd have to be so severe that it would have to be able to be opened, and it would take like damn president to sign off on it type of situation, if even that. But anyways, they give you a number rather than just also pitting you in the system by name and being able to look you up that way. It's a witness protected type of situation, but not witness protection, but it's a protective situation, victim protecting, stalking type of crime. That was back in 2005 or 2006, into 2005, beginning of 2006. Same individual moved right across the street from me, and they was doing their bullshit, and they're making it out, oh, we're law enforcement, we're government, we're this. Janara Torres and Thomas Stuckman, two snobby, asinine, nastiest people that there is from the get-go. Assaulted me within 2 months of living here, physically assaulted. Tell them how that went down. I was intoxicated, drunk. I talked to a psychologist about this too. They utilized luring techniques to get me to come up around, to mouth off, taking advantage of a drunk situation so they could take advantage of me. With that advantage, I remember things when I'm blacked out more than a lot of other people do to a certain extent. And my memory says and understands that they threatened me in my drunkenness there after physically assaulting must have alerted me to what was going on. With what was going on is Thomas Stuckman physically battering me around and then laying on top of me with his forearms over top of me, whatnot, trying to blame me. I'm tired of your shit. You can't be tired of someone's shit not knowing them more than 2 months. Janara Torres sitting there, white socks on, flipping her feet around. Look at me, look at me. And they have paperwork. And they said I was wanted. They're the police. They had I think it's called a Manola, like a separator type of portfolio thing. And one of the things is the rape of my own mother, which is some sicko ass shit. You're a retard. But there's a few other things which I do know has been going around circulating. Anyways, later on with that, to get on, not to tell the whole story of this and the hypnotic suggestion, forensic misconduction of tooling and psychological tooling, and complete alteration of my physical body. There's also what I'm going to say is implanted in January of 2010. And I always give the date January 28th, 2010. I'm hoping that's 100% right. I also get off on saying between January 26th and 28th. It's either one of those two dates. I went back to New York City in the summer of 2011 to see if I can get information from the hospitals, and it was partially there. There's a covered up record, if even a record there, really. An entry that's incorrect, and even the doctors, technicians, the CEO type situation of the hospital that I was at, it took me 8 hours to get information. They just all said this entry shouldn't even be there. There is at the date, the time on it is unspecified, I think it was, but I don't want to discuss that because everything I'm discussing, even if I don't post it to the internet, that I'm just doing video or writing down inside the house, is always being intellectually challenged or alterated. With that being said, they're utilizing some type of implant to help assist them to physically basically assault me without being seen it being done. Pain besides brainwashing techniques, someone talking of a trach lumbotomy. Now I'm thinking trach is trachea, and then a lumbotomy is where they shove a needle up through the eye socket, the same pains that I'm having, and even multitudes more worse than that, and harming some type of frontal lobe, lessening it. They should not have a legal right. It's not on paperwork. When I went through probated mental health right here because of them, and they found out not just because of them, but multitudes of other people trying to play off with an affidavit. And if you give me 1 second, I just woke up. You're starting to hear this click because I'm thirsty. With that being said, signing affidavits with the toxic family member, and they was caught perjurizing. And the toxic family member, they couldn't keep their story straight, but I won't get into maybe, they got caught up. Some of the toxicity from that affected that person. They're in here trying to affect everyone that I can come in contact with. So it scares everybody off from being able to support me, to be able to be supportive or say, hey, I'll help you out. Either, I'll help you out, take you in because I was homeless, or I'll help you out by making a witness statement, or going to the police with you, making a statement, or wherever, making a statement that's on the best benefit of yourself and whatnot. They're always in here intimidating people. This is way for decades. Basically being socially kidnapped and held captive, but people can't understand it because it's not physical. It's a systematical type of assault. Now, it's not the same exact thing that was discussed, but the wording systematical assault came from a county psychiatrist or psychologist that works here in Franklin County, and a couple of other counselors. They had some other counselors there, which was partially forensic investigation stuff, but that would be, as far as I was understanding, a violation of my rights, and there was a lawyer there for them to try to enact that much of authority without the proper procedure of going about it. Even if they had an ability elsewhere, they didn't have the ability at the moment to be doing that. So it's misconduction if they tried, which is illegal. With that being said, with the device implant, it's like a deep brain stimulator with the vagus nerve stimulation. It's a multitude process throughout the whole body. Little implants, nodes that go into the muscles, but not to weaken the muscles, besides just being able to have brain control. What I was told in New York City, somebody trying to explain possibly the symptoms or the situation I'm feeling on some of the things that I'm explaining, because I similarly talk to this with strangers on the street, which ain't 100% right, but everything's not right. Sometimes it is right. Without being blamed, that's how your stuff's exposed, and that's not it at all. Sometimes, but not really at all. They love doing that victim blaming. But anyhow, getting into this, person says, and it seems like they had some type of criminal investigation background or psychology, and it was cognitive function blocking. Being able, now I need to go get back into myself of understanding what that is before I'm talking stuff that is incapacitated, which I am. It's caused physical injury or psychological injury to the point I probably will not ever be right while they're always running their mouths. Now, there's a lot of other things that they're utilizing besides just the implant. All their toy as shit that was also busted out in New York City. Something similar, and even also LRAD, long range acoustic device situations. Everything that I talk about, they tried to hit me with on top after I started posting to the internet more and more in the last 6 months, making it very dangerous. There's other situations that I put together, not only law enforcement. There is a major situation when I woke up and said I was being homosexually assaulted. That is homosexual organized crime. The homosexual organization between the peoples that they work with, tons and tons of people, but the criminal acts involved. And then it's becoming more criminal acts. Them trying to cover up tracks. We thugs, hey schizo, what's up, bitch? Just outright belittling me every single day, wearing me down. Like the doctor said, don't you think the neighbors would pick it up? But then they realized how many neighbors put in an affidavit on myself. I wasn't here damn 2 months on certain, it got caught up of, wait a minute, there's something definitely majorly wrong here. Each neighbor is also homosexual. How did that happen? I don't know. They moved in as I was traveling around the country and pinpointed my location and just started their damn assaults. Who knows? There's a lot more to it, but they also all pertain to being grouped up together. One person that owns a entertainment business, which I started talking about, they're utilizing me for their entertainment. That he owns what is a rap entertainment business. Not to associate rap with criminal background and blacks, period, but a lot of predomination of that happening in front of me while they're also producing law enforcement background, either misutilizing the law or making out that they are connected to law, and finding crack needles in the parking lot, heroin needles over the years. If they was trying to keep it clean, having somebody else do it or take it down the street, to where there was also a rap studio club, dance nightclub. One year they switch out these shops. There were shops all around the house. They've been switching things out in one part of the deal and whatnot, and just outright, basically, I'll say is, I was gonna say extraterrestrially fucking challenging me, but challenging me to everything that I do. I buy a book, they read it already. I rent a book at the library or a movie. I could do something on the internet. It doesn't matter. Like wiretaps. Everything I touch, they touch. Everything I try to get into, they try to intellectually outdo me, period. If I go to learn the system, they stole my shit right here in this house, excuse the lingo. Male on male rape book, which I just showed that book. I rebought it long time ago and still ain't been able to read it. Who knows? I'm made it a God situation, that it's God's book type of situation to help me get out or to go get major help, and it's probably worthless now, which was laughed at, and that's what I'm saying. They've also said so, standing in their parking lot. No, you're not gonna go tell nobody. With the insinuations, all the rest of the people, basically, that's right. We didn't say it, but you know what's up. He said it, we didn't say it, who you gonna blame? I didn't say nothing, so you can't say I said anything. Just physically being here, you'd have to prove it anyways. If you didn't verbally see it, somebody needs to witness with you, because the nonverbal communication, which I was talked about at the mental health facility, you would definitely have to have a witness, because nobody will trust you. You're psycho. We caused you to be psycho. Janara Torres, Thomas Stuckman being the perpetrators of being the legalized influence, getting back into that. Snobbiness out of Mrs. Transvestite Janara Torres. Yeah, bitch. And on top, physically being bigger than me. I could fuck you up, whatever, bitch. You want to start? You want to start? Yeah, let's go ahead and start. Thomas Stuckman, I'm bigger than you. You don't fucking talk shit to me. He's German descent. She has Mexican descent, even though she looks white. There's a problem there. My stepfather was German. They've been utilizing abusive tactics from the past to the future. You respect. It's like German pride, bitch. And then her doing her Mexican pride. The bad thing about that is all the association with that. My stepfather had an external affair, which ended a lot of different shit. And I ain't seen him in like 13 to 15 years, something like that. after not even just a divorce. It's a mess to even explain, but a complete split up. I heard once from him, and I have seen him because my stepbrother, um, he has Facebook page and his photo popped up, whatnot. Um, but the weird thing is with that is he had an affair with the Mexican chick, and it was always rubbed in. Always, talking to a psychologist, they're utilizing this shit, tooling with it to mess with me. It's a probable setup of that relationship 13 years ago and toxic family members doing it intentionally to attack me. But anyhow, I'm not a victim on paper. I don't have a criminal situation that was ever talked about or criminal ability to prove that. The doctors wanted to go to the police and try to talk some things with the police. And it's weird that I keep getting cottonmouth through the last 2 weeks. And there's a certain situation with them I'll cut off real quick. I found something in the basket, strainer basket of my water purifier that I screw on to the sink. And it sounds crazy because, hey, it's a purifier at work then. No. Back then, the reason why it wouldn't have worked anyways is because the filter ran out. I didn't have enough money to replace it just back then. So I started running tap water. Just direct. And that's the basket where it screws in. I unscrewed it. Pipe busted. Unscrewed it. Had some type of white flakes, which I'm going to post the video here shortly onto YouTube. Partially blew it off. I took the white flakes, I was trying to figure out what it is, and of course everybody knows it's calcium or whatever it might be common. I was like, that's pretty common, yeah. It was hard though, like drywall. Or maybe like something else. It had to have had water running through it for a few days because I didn't leave the house that long. Nobody has a key to the place, so they had to, if it happened to be placed there is what I'm thinking, had to use the bump key or another accessible way of getting in. Or a master key with all the law enforcement shit that they got background with. Or supposedly. With that being said, I won't say I just completely blew it off. I was still concerned. And I did videos and I did some photos. And I messed up some of the evidence there, but not all of it. Because some of it, like I said, it was rock hard. I even took it. It was stupid. I stuck it up to my tooth and tried to break it. And some of it wouldn't even break. It was just wouldn't break. I mean, hard. I had to pry on it to get it to snap, break. Just in 2 pieces then. It didn't even powderize on some of it. Calcium would have broke powderized, I would believe. If not just broke away right away. Next day, I had a coffee pot that had a same situation in the bay itself. I washed that coffee pot out, didn't use it for about a month and a half per se. It was in bags without the basket bay in it. Tons of stuff. I'll have to just show the photograph to show how much stuff was there. Maybe it was leftover residue, you didn't dry it out. I know I dried it out. I froze the dang thing on top of it for certain factors. I sat it outside. So, 2 places with the same, I tasted that. Tasted like the same thing that was in the faucet. There's also major, bigger rock size, like pebbles, what I'll say. But rock size, if you wiped it out with paper towel, you just don't get rocks like that. Even if it dried up, you'd have a powdery residue, but you wouldn't have rocks as far as what I'd think. That just all of a sudden formed like crystalled rocks. I'll have to show the photos on that. But since I broke off from that, getting back on the track of where was I at? Gennaro Torres, Thomas Duckman. Carl Newman is the one also being the assaultant. Also another person that's seen in New York City, New York with me. Tried to smash me in the head, and that was, like 13 years ago. Talking shit, trying to challenge me. His people. They pointed the finger at him back when I had the break-in 2009 here with them books. And he's the one that orchestrated the command or the authority to go ahead and break into my house. Told them to do it to get the information so I wouldn't go to the police. Now my life is completely messed up. I've been sabotaged to the point I've lost my ability to have comprehension, which they prey on, to have capacity. And without up, you're going to get locked up. You need to go have yourself locked up, which I was told by the county agencies here, or agents that work with the county lawfully, that it's illegal for them to do that. Administrating shit, contaminating foods, even from the store. Um, making it out will make you sick, bitch. You're wanted. You need to go turn yourself in. I've done turned myself in. I've walked to the prosecutor's office. I've walked to the FBI agencies. I've did all that shit. I've walked to the police. Even the police started patrolling the neighborhood because they got other associates that they're recruiting to do their communal bullshit like they have an authorization to make, and they got those people in trouble because the cops had told them, I don't pull it up in my computer that he's ever been criminally charged, and you got a right to do this. But there's no background that he's even been charged with anything, so you don't have a right to do it. Even if he was, say, it's something that happened that was criminally charged, and you was a victim, victim, whatever, associated somehow, we'd have to make a decision if you'd even be allowed to have the right to do that, and you don't. So it's harassment. Just letting y'all know, this is the last warning. The next time we pick you up, you're going to be criminally charged with misdemeanor harassment. Just by verbally taunting me. Oh, okay, whatever you say, I'll they're in here making it. Whatever you say, I'll do to you. I'll lure you into it and then bust your ass. You a retard to this fucker. That's not misconduction. They expose their undercover operation. Misconduction is corruption. Check out Lisa Frill's file, New York City, New York. Prosecutor, head prosecutor, had to resign or go to prison. Now, I would love to watch these fuckers go to prison. I'm wondering, because there should have been situations connected to real police, like the psychological agents here for the county, the institutional probate shit, taking away my freedom and all the rest we talked about, which included that systematical assault, can be held criminally. But, their fucking shenanigans, their situations, just blinked out there. Every time I get pissed off, something happens lately. Like I said, I'm going to see a neurologist. See that file in behind me? That's neurology papers sent to my house. Even though I didn't request that, that's not the doctor's. But I'm seeing a neurologist doctor, so I'm wondering how that paperwork started showing up on my house. But anyways, maybe it's an insult rather than help. But anyhow, what was I going to say with that? I'm sorry I cut out like that. That's another thing I'm explaining, and something else that's interfered with here in Columbus, Ohio. They're trying to tell me it's Columbus, Ohio, and its network of people. I went to Twin Valley, which is a county-ran agency, or a private-ran agency for the county. Not just the city, the county of Franklin County. And with that being said, we had discussions. Why wasn't anything solved right then? Just like they said, you don't have any civil liabilities for people to be doing this to you. You don't have any civil suits or anything. We check everybody. That's not just a special for you, but as long as you consent to more and more, we'll check it out. Something maybe like that. Anyways, I consented to everything. Fuck. Hell, I consented to things they didn't even ask to consent to. I offered to for it. Go get my medical records here, there, this, that. Talk to, if you can, get police records. But it got too far out when he started asking them for personal business. They're not there to take care of your personal business completely. They're there to analyze, to see if there's something wrong, to make a judgment and a mental health decision under a judge and whatnot. I was released each and every frickin' time. Ended up getting on SSI because of it. And not just that, being a rape victim. And them, like, these guys are involved with the rapes. Either associated commanding, controlling them, watching them, being around, laughing, taunting about that I have been, and all the rest. I just need a witness here, which I've had very seldom. I don't have friends. I don't have people that come around at all. One, I'm intimidated because basically I'm incapacitated to the point nobody likes it to a point. Not very highly intelligent. Didn't make it through school. Can't hold a job. Don't have money to spend. I'm not, hey guy, come on over and let's have a barbecue wing. I'm sorry. Hey guy, come over and bring me some food because I can't afford food. Or I can't afford to splurge as much in certain type of situations sometimes. That's not 100% exactly it, but kind of close. Anyhow, they pry on that. If not that, then it's the intimidated fear. They're threatening everybody else around me. If you associate yourself with him, we're going to tear your life up. We'll do the same thing to you we did to him. Or expose shit that he's been raped. You want to be around him like that? Nastily. That's not like a rape victim type of situation. That's Janara Torres's type of snobbiness is the way I'll call it. And them overhearing the neighbors sitting right inside the house. People's told me, I'm hearing somebody talk to me. Every last person that's came in here, good or bad, just outright, they're influencing. They're telling me what to do. Or they made contact with me before I came here to make contact with you. Because that's one of the things I talk about. Are you a safe person? Well, that safety turns into, oh, that's homosexual. You trying to test them to see if, I'm not homosexual. I'm heterosexual. And they get pissed off about that because there's revenge acts that's been found out in other states, basically defined as why the reason why they are acting the way they are is revenge acts for past situations that they exposed of another gay individual in the family. And now it's nothing but revenge acts because I guess I didn't understand it, but it took a toll on those people back then. Rumorization, it destroyed the homosexual organized mobbing shit that they was organizing. Let's not do mob. It was organizational life support. Same thing I'm looking for. What they're trying to utilize as life support, but when you start mixing crime, you start mixing away how the homosexual organizational part about that is still organized, and it just gets into organized crime, more group threat than it is group trying to go gay rights, whatnot. And then you mix in a crime, a sexually related crime that could come down on somebody, or the attempt, or even an influence act, and expose their situation of being corrupted and bad. They're not allowed to act with it. They get pretty pissed off, especially when it's rumorized and people of the city start. It went viral, and back then I went nuts because I was held back. I was a child. Hey, I'm not allowed to hear it, think it, or anything else. I wasn't even very aware of it to come to notice it till about 6 years later. Maybe even not 6, 7 years later. Then I finally fully opened my eyes and realized that rumorization, the shit that I was brushing off in the past, was still there. As soon as I realized that and went to go talking about situations, I brushed off some of the incident, and that's why I brushed it off as a kid, is it not being so severe that it being childish shit, and it wasn't childish shit. The people that I was talking to was associates with the other person, the other party that was the perpetrator, and there's no criminal charge for that person. I just utilized that terminology to show the perpetrator, the main, not just suspect, the main person, one of the people's involved. With that being said, the people that I went to talk to just to get a little edgewise, because I wasn't doing too well of making judgment of who to talk to, and something says TrackWiz has just stopped on my phone, failure in my phone. Anyways, those people associated them, all they did is went right back to the perpetrator and told him I was talking this shit and put me in life-threatening danger. I started getting beat up. I was living with the perpetrator. That's how severe that was, and didn't know that they was the way that they was, and started recollecting other incidences while there was other incidences started to happen. A lot of I won't say drugs, but marijuana use and a lot of alcohol, while the rest of them was utilizing multitudes of different drugs, trying to utilize me as a gateway, trying to utilize and pimp me. How would you like a toxic family member to pimp you? There's no care or no concern anymore. Anyways, associated like Janara Torres and Thomas Stuckman, Carl Newman, entertainment business. Been around. His entertainment business has been around since like 1995. Massive situation for myself, as far as I know, as when I was looking back. I may be incorrect about the years, but not 100%. Don't think I am. 1995, a severity spike and massive childhood neglect and abuse. Talking to psychiatrists, now all of a sudden I'm being analyzed, like I said, eavesdropped and tapped right here. Every day, any maneuverment, anything that I do on my cell phone, and it's been that way. Multitudes of different cell phones, devices, even down to a furnace of being not just eavesdropped on, but electronically messed with. I had the thermostat and the microwave doing the same thing at the same time, where you, like, if you stuck a magnet to it, it'd go all whacked. You know, you stick a magnet up to a TV screen, it pulls out the collars. Something like that on both of them at the same damn time. They're in parallel. They're in parallel. Right behind me. Microwaves over here in the kitchen. Right behind my arm. Right behind this wood piece. Well, not behind this wood piece. Across the way, but it's right next to the wood piece. The frame, it goes up over. It's right up against the wall. The thermostat is, which I have a half filthy house, is it right parallel in that hallway. The archway. Right parallel. So whatever was hitting the thermostat was hitting the microwave, or intentionally being in the right beam. Magnetical? What do you need magnets to be messing around going through my house with? However, they're utilizing it, high-tech equipment. But without rambling on that, kind of got thrown off my own situation again. I hate doing that, because that is incomprehensive, incapacitated stuff. It leads into just a not dull, me rambling. But I'm doing this to show, and doing it for the website Target of Unlawful Acts, so I can keep notes for myself, and later on I might want to turn it into helping other people that's went through the same thing I did, because mine's a severity. It's not just being physically, socially attacked, sexually attacked, everything under the sun, the worstest kind of victim that you can get. And not being able to report it, didn't report it, so there's no criminal reports of the rapes. There's some suspectations elsewhere, multitudes of different states, but they can't do nothing. I never filed charges. I never came forward to the police due to having police corruption, intimidation, and wrongful doing by them in the first place. Do not want to go through a whole episode and have to defend myself while I'm also trying to report a crime against, for on my behalf that is violent, and have somebody else violently make me fucking defend myself for months on end to get some type of help, also to defend my own freedom or whatever it be. That's some real shitty shit, but that's the right business that you get. It's the type of mentality that they produce. Guarantee they'll get popped by at least civilian-wise, but is it illegal for them to do? They're law enforcement. They have a right to a private life. They have a right to law enforcement tactics, which those tactics are hard. But hey, I found out even if they are allowed to have, it's a tactic, but is it a legal tactic that they're allowed to use? I've also been told straight out by the stories that I've talked about, even in New York City, they've misconducted their case to the point they'd lose their shit. It'd go into the trash. FBI agents telling me this shit. The way that they've done and handled their shit, they have nothing left. Their shit's in the trash, and basically, if it worked it out and the evidence is good enough to stand, they'd go to prison. That being said, just went off, and I don't want to go off, so I think I'm about to end this video and leave it at that. Reason of the video: waking up, I was sexually assaulted in my sleep. Something called the clincher, a male-on-male relationship, or trying to enforce, and I'm like, no, and it's okay, it's a normal life situation. You want to be normal, don't you? And I'm overhearing these voices as I'm asleep. Schizophrenia, mental health, all this. I've made tests, and I'm going to back myself by not even just making tests for myself, but getting away from the situation. I said, I've been in multitudes of different states. I've been hiking, all that rest of shit, and they've stalked. I've also mentioned there's stalking going on in other states that they're not from, following me too. With that being said, not only me self-testing, there's been witnesses. Hey, he shows up, somebody else showed up with him. There's been witnesses in a community. You'd think I should not repeat my steps and go back to the same places, but I did, because I thought it was safe. Maybe the first time it wasn't their fault, the stalking, but the second time not realizing, or just it was a better place than being in New York City. It was a little more quieter, whatnot, but didn't notice that they had recruited people down there. which is another situation of organized like crime. But let's get rid of the crime and say it's law enforcement to a point, misconducted, so it's still criminal. Organizational work, organized against me, targeting me. But I'm not going to even put it criminal, because before, what I understand that they're saying criminal acts that I may have committed, they was still there before they happened. The situation pre-existed. You don't have a criminal, somebody also criminal profiling and not understanding this. And that's another thing. They got access to my mental health records. They know what I've talked to the doctor. Threatening. That's a private, confidential situation. Even law enforcement doesn't have full access rights to that. Threatening me with everything that they got under the sun. And this has been going on forever. That's one of the main incidences that's gone on for decades. Even pre-existence to what I know of accusation of criminal acts. We entrapped you, bitch. Basically mentality. But, what was I saying prior to that? That's not funny. Cotton mouth. Not to show my tongue, the white phase. I've had rat poisoning in my system before, not on record again, disappeared. They gave me the antidote. My hair stopped falling out within 24 hours. I wouldn't even say 24 hours, almost immediately. My body rechanged. The white film on my tongue disappeared. And I just came out of a drunk detox because I loved getting drunk when I was younger, 15 years ago. But also understood by a psychiatrist that influenced by somebody else, and then them influencing to do it, purchasing the alcohol is basically shoving it in your face. And if they had ill will knowing your actions or trying to get you to set off with your actions, I'd pay to have entertainment. I would pay to get somebody else messed up so I could threaten them either later or whatever it is, entertain. Deal with a massive situation and influence later on, drunk or sober, for $15, be able to basically, as exactly what's going on with Thomas Stuckman and Gennaro Torres, I own that ass. Same thing with the rest of them, though. You got drunk and you started acting belligerent. We didn't tell on you. You owe us back. Or you got drunk and belligerent. We're just utilizing community rights to scold you. And it was told to the system even back in 2011 to start out with. And they said no. They're not allowed to do that. They're placing community sanctions. There's no paperwork for a legal community sanction to happen. And they would have to have that. That's just like the cops, like I said in the past of this video, the cops saying it's harassment, misdemeanor harassment. The techniques, the covered up techniques and shit, needs to be caught. But I forgot what I was traveling on that last conversation. That's what's happened. Oh, well, you need to go get some help. You're incompetent. I have throat pains. I'm going to doctors to see. I have this thing that's sticking me through the neck, the nose, and up in the forehead type of feeling, mass, scratch, like fish hook is what I call it. Techniques, that's another gangsta hood relative shit. You know, fish hook. Anybody ever heard of that? Fish hook somebody to the point it puts so much pressure on their jaw or the actual skin, pulling the cheek back, causing duress in their throat, mouth, everywhere else, it's a fish hook is what was called as childhood. It was done to me a little bit, more than often, even by the toxic family members, type of situation. Anyways, that type of situation I'll have to get, like I said, I'm going to prove technically what I'm talking about, and post it to target of unlawful acts. Now I need a lawyer. There's people that stepped up in New York City by themselves. Also challenging Columbus, Ohio, is, I guess, bar association and the way the community's acted out here. If you want to blame me and make it out that I'm too incapacitated being in society, even though that is understood, these people intentionally would have caused that. And that's the whole point. What's wrong with the community out there? He comes out here and you try to basically take advantage of a situation. I always put in Sister Act, but I was told not to play the movie Sister Act. Hey buddy, being influenced, why don't you explain it like this? Because that doesn't make jack shit. Matter of fact, it's a judgment on our behalf and a beneficial to us. You old bitch, being called off shit. Have a psychiatrist, Ella Purdue, back history of supposedly working in a psychiatric facility. Now, the doctors did not know that the last time I talked to them, but I am mentioning it to law enforcement. I am mentioning it. I'm on SSI. I have to go in for an eval and a re-eval, maybe. And I'm requesting for psychology help, but like I said, the influence of external parties here in Columbus, Ohio, their networked system is messed up, jacked up. People's like, nah, it can't be that messed up. Somebody needs to, like New York City, started taking recognition to come investigate exactly what's up to see if the misconduction can't be held criminally liable. But anyways, I guess I'll go jump back over to what I was saying with New York City is, a lot of different people started stepping out. I've been through in and out of there quite a bit over the last since 2005, into 2005. So what, 13 years. Each and every damn time somebody's stalking, mass social alterations, mass social happenings. I can't even explain, massive. Downtown Manhattan, I was homeless. You got to understand that part. Very vulnerable. One of the things that they call is you're not going to get a job to get money to get a lawyer to represent or pay somebody for professional help. You're not going to pay for friendship. They noticed I started getting some of the good homeless or good people to come in and not pay them. I don't want to put it in the wrong way, but help them out. But at the same time, back in the day, an attempt to say, hey, you keep your eye out for me, listening and whatnot, or here's my life of problems. You wanna kick it back a little bit and see if you can help witness anything. Well, next thing you know, I don't have a job, don't have this. They're threatening the people around me, whatnot. Nobody wants to deal with it because of the mass power. Law enforcement was found corrupted elsewhere, especially Colorado Springs, Colorado. These guys like associating Colorado Springs situations. I'm in Columbus, Ohio now and have been for the last 12 years, something like that. So, you know what you did, buddy, haha. Law enforcement misconduction, revenge acts out of law enforcement. Because I stood against them. Made complaints against internal affairs for not doing the internal affairs right investigation. Being called out, you're just being picky, or you don't have an ability to stand. Your shit's non-legit. And I'll put this behind my backing again. There's other people that was putting in complaints and they was getting thrown away by this internal affairs agent and internal affairs there. There's all kinds of shit happened. Finally, a bunch of them grouped together, got lawyers, and it was proven this happened. And the guy was convicted. The fucking city agency's convicted. It was real. Me being, at the time, I put mine in, oh, you ain't gonna believe, you're a psycho. People don't like you, you're cross-eyed, you're this, you're that. Who's gonna believe you? And at which point, hey, when it comes out, that's a right for us to take advantage of you mentally, because it would be a lie and stable situation, so you better get your shit straight, or I'm going to adjust you. Gennaro Torres, Thomas Stuckman, Carl Newman, Ella Purdue. Gennaro Torres and Thomas Stuckman seem to be the more asinine lately. Part of that, the physical, will touch you. Same thing, though, with Ella Purdue. No saint there. A rapist. A transvestite rapist. Carl Newman orchestrating his power involvement with that. Remember, I said the people in the past are the ones that said he was the one giving the command to break into my house to steal the informational books that I had. It came out years later, probably past the time to be able to make a conviction or the complaint. But hey, orchestrated stalking. You think Carl Newman's associated New York City, New York? I can positively myself identify him. Not just, well, I hearsay, think so, or the same characteristics, or something that causes me to think, hey, that's the same person or the same thing, without visually noticing them of being in New York or another place because of what they, some type of click of, hey, that's the same person, of doing some type of either assault, belittling, harassment, or being around, no matter what it is. This time, visual contact, not just audio, verbal characteristics or compiling information going, well, that's who it is. No, I visually can identify him. Anyways, just a mass amount of dicked up work. I'm physically injured, psychologically injured. I guarantee with the implant, why haven't you gotten x-rays? I was told by a technician when I first went in for my first x-rays, on a certain amount of situations, they are technicians, they can blip out the x-ray. They can blip out the implant. It's been that way. That's what the technical people do. If you had a pacemaker, we'd blip it out. Not that it wouldn't be non-effective to the pacemaker, but we can actually erase it from the imagery so it can be looked past, so we can get a clearer picture. It gives the doctor a clearer picture without distraction to see the pacemaker there, or whatever it be. But some of the effect is to also not mess around with the pacemaker while you're having an x-ray, but there's also imagery. The imagery itself would be printed out. It'd be a non-existent in the imagery if they wanted it to. Apparently is what's happening. It means there has to be law enforcement and a massive amount of shit. Who says I don't have the right to defend myself? There's no paperwork for it. The psychiatric facility here said it mandatorily have to be there. We're going to make judgment because you're allowing and you're in here trying to enforce a psychological judgment, then it needs to be understood his brain, his body, it doesn't matter what the fuck's implanted. He's implanted with something causing pain. Because right there, that's enough. If it's causing pain, enough to say he's not psychologically unstable. You're creating pain, creating an instability, and then blaming it. That is fucking wrong. Besides what he's trying to say, or what could be possible, which was partially discussed, brainwashing. No matter what it is, it's gonna cause way too much psychological problems, psychological injury. You can't diagnose somebody with paranoia delusions when they are not having delusions. They are hallucinating real situation because it's being caused. Have to get proof of it. Go get an x-ray, go get this. I need somebody to trust that runs the x-ray machine. But also the thing is getting an x-ray, if it's an implant with a battery that can shock, you need to know that so the battery doesn't blow up. It doesn't rip it out of my system, which the last MRI, that's another major thing. That's a hard damn thing because it has a big magnet that runs through your body. They can utilize the same technical stuff as x-rays, all the good stuff of x-rays, MRIs, all kind of body scans. They have technicians that can cause non-harm to devices like pacemakers, deep brain stimulator. Look into deep brain stimulator, see what the hell that is. Look into vagus nerve stimulator, look at what that is, and that's one of the main things I keep saying. Electrical volts going through my brain and the side of my throat, which is also spiking where I have like a needle sticking through my eye socket. Old feeling of like a lobotomy being performed. Somebody in a technician room later on, years later, while I'm doing a lumbar puncture, which came out fucking fouled up, talking in the back, saying my name, Rodney, which my name's not Rodney, but they like utilizing that. I'll explain that, though, later, how that works out. We're giving you a tracheotomy. That's what you can go tell it, tracheotomy. To me, what is a trach? I'd have to look at it. It's usually a device that goes in the trachea. I think it is. After you have a tracheometry or some shit, where they cut a hole. And a lobotomy, which would be the needle stuck up in through the head. Nose or head, exactly where I'm saying my pain is, scraping the inside of the frontal lobe, causing neurological damage. I was told in New York City by some representatives they can track that type of damage. They can track electroshock therapy damage. The brain shows scarring. It takes a whole lot of per se money or time to do, but it can be proven. Let's get rid of the money problem, except for having massive MRI, fMRI, full brain functioning, and may have to do multitudes of those. If they're costing $3,000 a piece, that's still a lot of money for a homeless person that can't get a job now because somebody's messed them up. All this rambling all over a damn dream, but it ain't just a dream. Being sexually aroused in your sleep is sexual assault, sexual harassment. It's sexual harassment because usually, depending on the defiance, like what was talked about with doctors and other law enforcement, it depends on where you're at. But it could be sexual assault. Depends on how you view it. In your mind, especially if it's triggering that way and they're intentionally forcing it onto you and you're violated, it's still assaultive. But maybe by legal technicalities, it's sexual harassment. If found out, it'd be sexual harassment. but there's different levels of intent to that. So it could be more severe. You have sexual harassment that's misdemeanor, but you also have sexual harassment, which seems like being so severe for myself would be felony. But orchestrating, now add the other stuff of being organized and participating and utilizing it for basically organizational group situation, if not organized crime related shit, and you have massive more charge severity to it. Anyways, more homosexuals, because I've called them out in not just videos, but put it to them, you need to obey and respect us, enforcing their views. And I haven't been mean to them, but just also saying, you're not to tell me what to do, like you're controlling a gay community and I have to abide by and become a fag for you, or become gay. Excuse the lingo, because fag is actually now what I was not taught as a child. Was talked about by other people, because hey, remember that thing about rumorization and the words fag being used? Imagine how severe that is, and then somebody acting out with revenge attacks, because it didn't just reflect on one person, it reflected on all homosexual people, and it should have, though, because the actions that they do, they're a part of, they all have the same type of characteristics. Anyways, makes them more predominant, at least being feeling of being a perpetrator. With that being said, that's my viewpoint. It's many different people's viewpoints, but I'm also behind, because that was also discussed and told unlegit and all the rest. It depends on who's went through the situation and the type of people that's around them. Not all gays are that way. Sorry for the people that spit up with the wrong gays, that's messed around with people, but that's not, it's stereotype and all the rest of them. Bullshit. But anyways, okay, you've been stereotyped. With that being said, just damn, got so pissed off that I blipped out. Going to a doctor, trying to figure out why. Overhearing microtones, boom, even in my sleep and awake, just out of thin air. Doesn't happen elsewhere unless these people are around. And that's why I say, I make statements like, it doesn't happen elsewhere. Oh, but yeah, it did. But yeah, it did, because these other people started coming around. What I'm saying is, elsewhere, if it's non-influenced, nobody else has followed and stalked, it doesn't happen. Noises, sound effects, whatever, everything under the sun that they're doing. You don't think law enforcement should have picked that up? Something's corrupt with the whole government situation there, including FBI, because they're saying it's involved, ATF, and all the rest. Oh, we don't have to take your personal life problems and add it to shit. We can do whatever the fuck we want to. That's real strange, to say the least. Especially making verbal contact out on the fucking street threatening me. At which point it ain't just trying to be a hardcore criminal, but you're personally violating me. You know I've been personally violated, and you're utilizing that to step up on? If I have the right to protect myself against the perpetrator, and you associate yourself with some type of association, I'm going to protect myself against you. Much less, even if it isn't in the right, I'm going to physically start getting violent with you. You won't listen to verbalation to stop. Maybe I need to go show some type of physicality. And you're bigger, badder, and better than I am. You know I'm sick, physically weakened, and everything else. While you know somebody else is weakening me, but I don't give a damn. That's the way they need to understand it. That's what I've been pitting out. Hey, that's wrong. You don't threaten law enforcement. It's also been understood. Shit, I've had investigations, like I said, been proven out. Other law enforcement affiliated people getting arrested for threatening me. Playing the luring type of game. Hey, bitch, what you doing? Set me off, or whatever it be. And that's not 100% exact what was going on, but some of it. I should be able to wipe that off, brush that off, and take it, either make complaint, but there's more to it. Either way, entrapping, setting off, luring, for their enjoyment, because hey, I know I can take him on, so I'll challenge him. Same thing with the rest of the group criminal profiling that seems to start coming out as organized crime. Drug related, gang related, or let's take back gang, organized group related. Not exactly profiled gangsteristic, but really is. different type of criminal organized associated profiling. With that, and they're law enforcement. So I don't know how many times I said that and belittled that throughout the whole damn video, but that needs to be recognized. I blipped out by getting angry, but I'm going to leave it at that. Hopefully the things that are cut short, and that's why it's incompetent, can be filled in. If not, ask about, or I'm going to watch the video myself and maybe go back in and fill them out. Or fill the ideal in the conversation, not the conversation, but what I was going to explain, fill it in. With that being said, I'm going to post pictures. I have to get the right proper software to do it. I'm poor as shit trying to put together some things, but the water faucet type of situation with contaminants in it. I produced this website, targetofunlawfulacts.com. The things I'm posting there, they're trying to mimic. I haven't handed that situation out. There's no way these people would know about it except for eavesdropping and wiretapping. It was a brand new site that was developed back then on top of other websites that I had. So they would have to intentionally be trying to track me and all the rest. Target me. Like a target of unlawful acts. Targeting a targeted individual. With that being said, relaying shit in public, then exploiting and exposing it themselves. He got this website. It's this, that, this. Here, he fit this on his website. Let's do that to him. Let's influence some of it if it's not exactly 100% physically or 100% exact, but influence something like it's happening to him. There is mental health misconduction, mental health wrongdoing also happening. Authoritative type of county tones, like also associated with revenge acts. Hey buddy, we're the authorities, we can do whatever we want to with you. Well, it's time for me to go ahead and step up and get that help again. Because just like if I didn't have the lawyer that was at these facilities, I would have definitely been beaten on, abused, which I still was. That's the bad thing. Making complaint, whatnot, trying to back it down. You ain't no gangsta, you ain't this, you a pussy if you tell. That's the type of neighborhood that I've grown up in to a point. It's hard to explain because I've moved around. But those people that when I did move around to get away from it, moved with me. You know how I keep saying, there's perfectly good strangers said you showed up, they showed up, and the situation that showed up with them. Them altering the community value. They're altering the truth behind what happens daily here. There's new shit going on. It's not something of this community. Anyways, so bunch of bullshit there. Still thirsty, cottonmouth. It went away, came back to last 2 weeks, who knows, especially after I found the shit in my faucet. Oh, don't be so hard. You schizo, you paranoid. That's calcium buildup, happens to everyone. Never had it happen before, ever. I've changed the filter on them damn sinks, you'd know. Never like that. Maybe even a little bit, but not like that. What's the hard piece? So hard it took my fingernails to push into it like it was drywall or something. And it cracked. And it cracked into two bigger, two huge, still solid pieces, not powderized. What about the coffee pot that I wiped out with paper towel and froze in the polarizational freeze during the winter for a reason, out on the front porch? Had bags on it sitting inside the house or outside, either way, for over a month. It was in a bag. So don't try to play it's contaminated by dust falling in it or anything else. Even though dust aren't rock-sized dust. I'll post that photo too. Now that shit powderized, and it could be either drywall or hardcore, I guess you'd say calcium buildup. I doubt it though, because I tasted it. Some of it was dirty. There's black specks in some of it. And on top it tasted like drywall, some of it. And there was pieces in it that was still kind of hard. Didn't completely powderize, just broke up. Was sharp. The other stuff, there was also stuff there that did powderize, which would be consistent with calcium. If you rubbed it in your finger, it'd powderize. I was told that through a water test quality program fucking 5-6 years ago, due to understanding the water's bad here. Put a filter on it, changed it immediately, or used to. Anyways, this video is going to end itself because it's at one of those time limit things. So I'm going to let it go. I'm going to end this video. post it, and I'll be back with those photos of that incident that happened just within the last few weeks. White rocked looking stuff in the basket to the water filter, and then the photos of the coffee pot bay with all kinds of wacky looking shit. Anyways, I'm stopping this video. I'll be posting that shortly. Peace.